Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Mars Phone Barnsey. This is, I think, an exceptionally interesting image. I'm going to try and show you some solid evidence that an ancient civilization did once exist on Mars. And not only did a civilization exist on Mars, but it had very, very strong connections with human civilization. I happen to think that they were both the same. The civilization that was on Mars, I think, was human, and at some time in the past there was a very, very strong connection between both planets. What came first, I can't really say. I think it's 50-50. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to try my best to show you exactly what I think we're looking at in this image. You know, NASA ESA will say that what I'm about to show you is pareidolia. It's all imagination. It's all in your mind. It's trying to produce order out of chaos, and I refute that. What I'm going to show you, I think, are genuine anomalies that more or less prove that a civilization did exist, and it was very, very strongly connected to the Earth at some time in its distant past, and that some of the ancient civilizations like the Greeks and the Egyptians had knowledge going back even further. They had, I think they were called mysteries, and they had knowledge of these sculptures and frescoes and everything else that I'm going to show you now, because I think this is the raw template where many of our myths and stories come from at some time in the distant past. Anyway, it's a Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter image, and it was taken with the Hi-Res camera, high resolution science camera. The resolution on it is very good actually. It's about 3 feet per pixel, or 2 3/4 feet per pixel, which is absolutely brilliant. But as you can see, as you zoom in, it still becomes pixelated. It's a Tiff, 15.5 megabyte Tiff, but there's still loads and loads of data and information in it, and some of it looks quite weird. A lot of it I'm not going to be able to show you because it would make the video too long. I'm going to try and show you exactly the main points of the video and what I think is actually here. Okay, so the very first thing that I noticed when I seen this image, actually just before we go on, the image covers a portion of an unnamed central peak of a 20-kilometer crater. That's about all the information I've got on this, but I'll give you the technical details at the start of the video, and the initial the original NASA description of what we're looking at. But they don't even name the crater, and it's most probably one of the most important images that I think I've ever seen NASA publish. They describe, you know, the minerals and the rocks and everything else, but just forget to neglect the fact that you know, they've imaged evidence of a civilization. But there you go. Anyway, I'm going to try and show you exactly what they haven't mentioned. So first thing we need to do is look at this structure here, which I think represents a human being. He's wearing a crown. He's got very thick curly hair, and he's got a thick beard. Okay, you can see his eyes here, his nose, and his mouth. And this style, by the way, was called like a Hellenistic style, like a Greek style, where they have the curly beard and the curly hair. And this particular sculpture as virtually a perfect earth analogy, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Just let me describe this a little bit in more detail. I hope you can see that he's wearing the robe, and it comes from his shoulder. There's a clasp here, and then it continues down this way towards his stomach. There's a little bit of it there in the back, and then there's green bits here. So, and then on the right hand side we can see this big part of the robe. So he's actually wearing some form of clothing. I hope you can see that. Now I think I've got an enhanced version of this somewhere. Just bear with me 1 second. There it is there. All I've done is brighten the contrast up a little tiny bit, and the brightness, just basically sharpened it up so you can get a better idea of what we're looking at. And I think you should be able to see his eyes. I think his eyes are so, so full of expression. Here, can you see them? And you can see the hints of the crown, and like the curly beard, and his robe, and you see like the square area here, which is a clasp holding his robe on. I hope you can see that. Yeah. Now, this particular individual, I think, is based, or the earth equivalent is based on this god, and this is a Greek statue of this particular god, and his name was Serapis. And as you can see, he's got very curly beard, very curly hair, and he's got his robe. Yeah, can you see that? He was a combination of the Egyptian god Osiris and the Egyptian deity, the Apis bull. Now, the Apis bull was always associated with Osiris and as a symbol of virility and strength, but the Greeks didn't like animal headed gods, so what they did, they turned Osiris into a Hellenistic looking Greek god with the curly beard and the curly hair and the robes and everything else. But as you can see, beard, thick hair, and you can clearly see his robe here. Okay, and that's who I think that's a reflection of, Serapis. I'm just going to show you this. Can you see this dog here? Now that's a portrait of a god called Cerebrus, and it was a dog that guarded the gates of Hades, the underworld, and prevented the dead from leaving the underworld. Okay, and he's always portrayed at the feet of Serapis. Now that is really important for a little tiny bit later on in the video, because I'm just going to show you another connection. Okay, so if we go back to the original unenhanced version, so that I think is the god Serapis. Now next to him, what you've got to do is blink basically here to see this. But here on the left hand side, his shoulder becomes another face, and I think this area here becomes the goddess Isis. See this here? What I'll do is I'll just open that in Photoshop. Okay, I'll just point out what I'm trying to convey to you. So you got eye there, there's another eye, that's the nose, and she's got a mouth open there. See, like 1 or 2 teeth in it. Not a very attractive woman. And this is a head. Yeah. Now, the reason why I think this is a face and is not pareidolia or imagination is because if you just look below her head, you can actually see an arm here. Can you see that? The arm comes up and you can see the fingers. Yeah. And there's the thumb. Can you see that? And so I think this is Isis, who was the consort of Osiris, his wife and consort. And you can actually see her arm, her forearm, and the fingers, and she's got her head inclined slightly, 45 degrees. I hope you can see that. I'll just see if I can get the arm a little bit. So it comes here, comes up, and then we've got the fingers there. These are the representation of the fingers here, and then it comes down, back of the hand comes down. Now this bit here I think is like the sleeve. It's like the sleeve, because all this is Isis's robe. So this is her robe. Her arm is raised and her head is inclined slightly to the left, 45 degrees. I hope you can see that. Yeah, but you can see her arm there, and that's why I'm pretty certain that represents Isis. I think so anyway. So we've got two, in my opinion, we've got two individuals: Osiris, the husband, and Isis, the wife. And just here, beneath the hand, there's Isis's hand there. You can just see like a little face here. You see the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And I think hidden in the folds of Isis's robe is most probably, I think that's a child. I'm pretty certain that represents a child, which is, again, you'd often find on Mars family units depicted. I have found others, but I think that there, hidden in the folds of her robe, is the child, which in Egyptian mythology would have been Horus, the hawk god. And here, just to the right, you can see another face, and it's an individual wearing a conical hat. You see that? So he's got a conical hat on, and it's got a decorated rim there. You can see the face, the eyes, you see the nose and the mouth area. Can you see that? Okay, so I'll just go back to this. So we have this face here. We've got Serapis, Osiris. Then we've got Isis with her head in her hand, basically, and that's her robe there. Now if you come a little bit further down along the same line, we've got this unusual structure here, which I just think is just absolutely amazing, honestly. It's a little bit weird, but I think I've sort of like deciphered the main elements of this. I think what we're looking at here is like there's two faces. There's a face there and there's a face there, okay, and I think this represents Isis and this represents Osiris. So these two faces represent these two gods: Isis, the goddess of magic, and Osiris, the god of the underworld. Okay, and I think this represents those two gods. Now if you look at this, I hope you can see what I'm trying to point out here. This represents an arm here, this protrusion here represents an arm, and so does this one. So you've got the two faces, and this is one arm, this is another arm here, and it's a very unusual shape, because if you look at it, let me just go along the shape. So if you come along here, you can see what this is. It's 2 feet, right? This is one arm, this is another arm. Osiris, Isis. So what we're looking at is a symbolic image, if you like, of a person, of a human being, but it's portrayed as a symbol of a person, and not a full copy of a human being, if you know what I mean. So this arm here is actually a structure, ends in like a structure with the tiered like step-like formation at the front of it. I hope you can see that. And this, I think, is other structures. There's all structures in here, right the way down the centre. And if you just have a look at it, you can see where it comes down, and then it's like the knee is bent, as if it's kneeling. See? These are the soles of the feet, and it comes up. So it's as if it's praying in a position of offering. Can you get that? Can you understand what I'm trying to say? It's like a symbolic image of somebody who's kneeling and reaching out. And you might say, well, what's it reaching out to? I'm going to show you exactly. Because beneath this kneeling symbolic person, if you like, is this here, which I think is a dried up pool. Can you see that? I think that represents a pool or a pond. I think it's about 60 foot, roughly about 60 foot in length. Yeah, and this area is in supplication, if you like, is kneeling, because this must have been a highly sacred, very important place at one time. Maybe water was scarce, maybe the source of the water was important, but I'll go back to that a little bit later on. But I hope you can see where I'm coming from, that it looks like a symbolic image of a person that's kneeling, and I think it's over this dried pool here. Yeah, just let me come out of that again, because I think, yeah, you might be able to see it a little bit better here, because I've just Okay, can you see Isis's face there? Yeah, and Osiris. Now, I was talking about the tiered structure at the end. All this is buildings, and you can just make out the lines of the tiers. Yeah, the tiered structure. Now, and that is directly over this here. Okay, Isis's arm is over the pool. Yeah, and the center here, if you were to stand there, because don't forget I said there's structures here, you can just about see one structure there, but there's multiple structures within this, just very difficult to see, that's all. Okay, it's very difficult to see, but there's structures there. But if you were to stand here, you would be directly over the center of that pool. Okay, and I think this is what this was, is like for offerings, for prayer to this area, to this, you know, maybe sacred pool or pond, whatever it might happen to be. Now, remember, as I pointed out a little bit earlier on, the dog Cerebrus, and it was always at the foot of Serapis, because here I'm going to have to pencil this in because it's very difficult to see, right? But here we have a dog just there. It's a little bit difficult to see, I know that. And there's like a round opening in the dog. There's the eye. There's another eye. See the ears. And in the mouth of the dog is a round opening here. And I've got a suspicion that this round opening here was the source of the water. So the water came out of this round opening into this pond, if you like. Now, and that's why I was saying before, if you were standing here on this structure at the end of Osiris's arm, it's no coincidence that it is exactly hanging over that circular opening. So if you were standing here, you could make offerings and drop them into that sourced outlet. Maybe it's an outlet pipe of some sort, maybe it's natural, maybe it's artificial. And they built this dog structure around the opening. But I don't think it's any coincidence that that is directly over that circular opening. Yeah? It's no coincidence that the centre between the two arms is directly in the centre of the pool. And I don't think it's no coincidence that that's towards the end. Yeah? Can you see that? I hope you can see that, guys. Now, just let me come on to this because I need to just point out this dog more because it's very important. Remember I said earlier on, you always have the dog Cerebrus in Greek mythology. He was the guardian of Hades, guardian of the underworld, and he was always at the foot of Serapis. Yeah. Okay. Now, I brighten this up a little tiny bit, just to bring out the some of the main areas in a little bit more detail. Okay. It's actually made the pool a little bit darker because it's in shadow. Okay, but I showed you that a little bit clearer before on your enhanced version, okay? But there's the pool there, right? And as you can see, the faces of the two sculptures and the overall body See where it's kneeling here, and the soles of the feet. And these two structures here are exactly the same, by the way. See, exactly the same. The soles of the feet, yeah, and the arms, and you can see the structure a little bit better now. The tiered structure here, yeah, and the soles are like reaching out over the pool. Now remember saying about now I'm going to call this dog Cerebrus because that's who I think this is. This is this dog is Cerebrus, yeah, because can you see the round circular feature I was talking about there a little bit? You know, I think that was the outlet into the pool. You see it? You see the circle there? Yeah. Now here we have the dog's paws here. Can you see that? Yeah. And there's its head and its muzzle. There's the round circular feature there. So I think that dog is a representation of Cerebrus. I don't think it's any coincidence that it's there. I hope you can see that, to be honest with you. I know it's a little bit difficult because it's highly contrasted out here, but I think water came round its paws. So when this was fully active, when this was a place of worship or offering, here I think water came up and went round the paws. So this would have looked as if it was immersed. This dog would have looked as if it was immersed within the water of the pond. You see that? Can you see where it comes round here? So I think water flowed there. So the paws looked as if they were in water. You can see the round circular feature. You know, I just think it's amazing, absolutely amazing. Anyway, let's come out of that. I think I just brought this one out to 45 degrees, tried to level up the dog so you can see it a bit more clear. Now so there's the pond, yeah, there's the pond, there's the paws, yeah, the front legs and paws, there's the head of the dog, there's that round outlet, and there's the ears. You see that? The eye and the paws here. And I think water filled round that. There's the pond, and there's Isis, Osiris, there's the arms here, and it's kneeling. Yeah, I hope you can see that. Okay, let's come on to that. Now, I think that's in black and white. I don't know whether you can see the structures a little bit easier there. Okay, now what I want to show you is just a couple more. Just a couple more features next to Serapis and Isis. Okay, Now, remember earlier on I described that face next to Serapis there with the conical hat. Now, conical hats, by the way, were always associated with royalty. Remember, like the damsels in distress, the princess in the tower, and she always had like a conical triangular hat on. So in ancient times, they were always associated with royalty, triangular hats. Now, all along here, all these structures are all in a line. Again, it's no coincidence, is it? We've got cerebrus, you've got the pond, the sacred ponds, you've got the platform with the two small faces making offerings into the pool. You've got Isis, there's an arm up against the chin. Then you've got Serapis with his beard and his robe. You see that? Then you've got this face here. Clear, you know. To me, it's not pareidolia. It's clearly a face, and there's multiple sculptures, isn't there? Now, if you come over a little bit further, there's multiple sculptures here. Can you see that? You've got 1, 2, 3. This centre one is the most obvious. It's got like, you can see like his nose. He's got a downturned mouth. You can see his eye, and he's got like long hair maybe. I hope you can see that. There's a pyramidal type structure here. Just let me get the pencil on that. I'm going as fast as I can here, guys, to try and get it in for you without making it too long. And there's like a circular feature here on top. There's something in it, but I'm not sure what it is. I don't know. It's a little bit blurred. So see something here. Not sure. Now here is a really weird face. Can you see that? Very weird. There's another one here, but it's looking in this direction. But that one is so weird. There's the sculptures, statues, all over this image. There's structures. It's absolutely full. You know, there's a face there. You see the eyes, the nose, there's the mouth. Honestly, it's just unbelievable. It's not pareidolia, guys. All this here are structures, are buildings, roads. There's, look at that, like that square area with like a dome in the centre of it. It's absolutely full. You know, if you look very carefully here, this is actually a structure. See this? This here is like a square structure, and it's got all sorts of buildings and, you know, tubes, all roads. Like this is a space here, and there's like the structures. This is like some kind of dome, 90-degree angles. There's it's just, honestly, it's absolutely amazing. All this, everything you can see here are physical structures. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up this image again, because I'm going to show you just a little bit of solid evidence here now that it's not just pareidolia, and that everything here is all connected. Okay, because we go to this very weird looking character. I hope you can see it properly. Okay, now it just looks so weird. It looks like as if it's like a clown or something like that, but obviously it's not. It's just the way it's portrayed. But you can see several sculptures here, but the one I want to point out is, like, here you can see this human face here. He's got a conical hat on again. You see his eyes, you see that perfectly shaped nose, and there's his mouth, yeah, and that is on the right shoulder of this guy here. See, this is, again, it's a portrayal of a human being. Yeah, his eyes. He's got a very big pointy nose. See that? Like a big protruding pointy nose. And here's his mouth. But the most interesting thing about it is this here. See this? At first I thought it was his chin, but it's not. What it is his tongue. I know it sounds crazy, but he's pulling tongues. Now, I know in some cultures, pulling tongues was looked upon as being like a sign of respect and like a greeting, and I'm presuming that's what this is. I know the Maori, when they pull their tongues out, that's to show strength and virility and dominance over an enemy. So, but I've got a feeling that this is more like reverence and respect. But that is his tongue, believe it or not. This here, right, this is his shoulder. Okay, and this is part of his body here. Now this is his arm. See, this is his arm, and these are his fingers, because he's holding what appears to be like a little statue of a man in his hand. I know it's quite difficult to see. This is these are structures, by the way. I think that's making up a face as well, but I'm not even going to go there with that. So we've got, just let me go back here. Let me close this. But I'm going to show you now where I'm going with this. It's interesting. So let me just open this up. Now I hope you can see where I'm coming from. You see the very peculiar shaped head. Now can you see that? The tongue. It's definitely his tongue, because his chin stops there. See that jaw stops there, and that seems to be his mouth. And there's little structures here, by the way, but that is definitely his tongue. And can you see this guy here? The eyes. It's virtually a perfect reflection of a human being. And there's his fingers holding onto this smaller statue here. See? It's dead weird. But I've found a lot of weird stuff like this on Mars. But let me just come out of that. Okay. I mean, this image is enhanced, by the way, guys, with the contrast and the brightness, that's all. Okay, so just let me go back to these two again. So we can see the face with the pointy nose, his tongue protruding. There's the little face here, this with the conical hat on, and there's his arm, his hand. This represents his arm, I'm sure it does, and he's holding on to this little fella. If you have a look at one of my previous videos, the true mission of the Curiosity rover, there's also what I think is a lord in that one at the start, and he's holding in his arm like a little human being. It must have signified something, but obviously it's a guess as to what it signifies. Now these are looking south, okay? These are looking south in a southerly direction, and they're looking in a southerly direction for a reason, okay? If we just come to this here, this area here. Just let me get my marker, pencil tube. So what we've got is a groove here. Okay, very interesting groove which comes down either side. This is like a wall here, but this down the center is a groove, right? And if you look at the end of the groove, you can see what looks like an arrow point. Can you see that? Yeah, it's a bit, I know it's a bit blurred there, but it looks exactly like an arrow point, because that is exactly what it is. It's a marker. Yeah, it's like a double arrow point. Thought this was like sand dunes at first, but it's a different material from sand dunes. Look at that human being there. See the big nose, and he's actually smiling. There's honestly, it's full of sculptures. But anyway, this groove has got like an arrow point there and an arrow point there, and I'm going to give you one guess as to where it's aimed, it's looking, or it's pointing to. You guessed correct. It's pointing directly at the center, the heart basically of Serapis. Yeah, that's where it's pointing, right there. There's nothing else here of any significance in this image except for Serapis, and it's no coincidence that we've got these particular sculptures. I know this is weird, it looks like a clown, like pulling his tongue out, holding a little guy in his hand. It's weird, but we're on Mars. And you've got this feature here, and they're both looking southerly down this groove, which is shaped like an arrow, which is pointing directly at Serapis. Now that cannot be a coincidence, can it? In any shape or form. Again, that's just a little tiny bit of independent evidence that it's all connected. The entire image is connected. Now I'm just going to point out one final thing before I go. Okay, you might not have noticed it, but I have left it to last because it's a little bit difficult to see. But this here is another sculpture. See this? And I think it's the sculpture of a woman. Yeah? There's two here actually. But just let me point this one out first. And what I'll do so you can get an idea of where I'm coming from with this. It's a little bit. So there's the waist. The waist comes in. Then it comes down to the leg. Yeah? There. There's the other part of the leg, I think, there. Then the waist comes in again, then out. Yeah. And I think this would mostly represent one of the arms. It's all eroded and everything. This part's all destroyed and eroded, but there's the shoulder area. And very, very conveniently, you've got this very, very high contrasted area blocking out what would be the head. Now, I think this is a woman. Okay, maybe Persephone or something like that. She was a goddess of the underworld. It's all to do with death and resurrection. Everything to do with Osiris, Isis. Persephone was just another name for Isis. But it's all to do with resurrection and being reborn. I mean, look at the dog, Cerebrus. Sorry, I digress a little bit there, but I think this is the sculpture, if you like, into the ground of a woman. And the reason why, say, if you have a look there, I think they're breasts, and she's got some kind of clothing there. and here we've got it's like a belt of some sort. You see that? And she's wearing like some kind of clothing there, and here is like from the belt is like a lanyard that goes up, see, to the shoulder area. I actually think it goes to some structures. See these here? I think these are all structures. They're very, very difficult to see. That's like a lanyard that goes up. Yeah. Can you see? Can you see where I'm coming from with this? And there's a waist comes in. Yeah. Comes in there. It's the arm area. And but this side's very heavily eroded and damaged, so you can't really see anything. And just while we're on the subject here, I think this is most probably a bird. See this? That is most probably a bird, but I'm just guessing with that one a little bit. Anyway guys, I hope it's given you some food for thought, because there's absolutely tons and tons of stuff in this. There's so much I couldn't possibly show you everything. I'll just show you this. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it or not. It's very, very difficult to see. Like, I'll just turn the image round. But here, see, this is a man with a funny hat on. You see his nose, and there's his shoulder, there's his arm, and he's got a knife in his hand, and he's stabbing into this, which I think's some kind of face or something. See, all this is all dead weird, but I don't know whether you can see him. I'll just try and pencil it round for you. But there's his mouth, there's his nose, and then he's got like either a spiky ear, or he's got like a helmet on of some sort. This is leg there, this leg, this is leg. It comes round there, it comes up, and this here is his arm. Yeah, he's got some kind of bracelet on. Now that's his fist. Now don't forget, these are like structures, roads. That's the knife there, and that is an individual stabbing into this. What it signifies, I do not know. I really don't. But all I know is that it's there, and it does exist. Okay then, guys. I hope you found this a very interesting video, because I just think it's absolutely amazing, and it shows very, very strong connection between Mars and the planet Earth. I don't think it's pareidolia. I don't think it's imagination. They're all together in a row, as you can see. You've got Cerebrus, you've got the pond, you've got the place of offering, you know, kneeling, symbolic human being kneeling. You've got Isis, there's her arm, there's the head. You've got Serapis with his robe. You've got this lady here, maybe Persephone, another version of Isis, or Demeter. She was a goddess of fertility. All connected. And you've got this face here. See? You've got this pyramid. Then you've got these three frescoes. You've got this one, and it's just, you know, you've got this little alien-like face here. And then across we have the groove with the arrow, and then we have this guy, this face. it just goes on and on and on. And I do not think for 1 second that this is my imagination. My imagination doesn't stretch this far, I can guarantee it. We're looking at something that really does need further investigation. Anyway, I hope you found it interesting, guys, and I hope you can see where I'm coming from. That there was a very strong connection between Earth and Mars, and I think a lot of myths and stories from the ancient Greeks, Egyptians, are connected in some way to this planet. I mean, look at this structure here. There's stuff in it that, see, you can actually see like circles, and there's little roads, there's all sorts in it. And I think there was a structure here that came down. There's all broken bits of walls and metal, and I think it come down to here, and this is all structures. I think this was like, this is the wall of a structure here that was built on top of this mound or this mountain. This was all a structure. It's just full. You know, look at this here. I haven't even really gone into this part of it. This was like a structure. It's in that image. You just got to switch it round. But as you can see, it's collapsed walls. It was some kind of structure that, you know, you can see like the top of it, and it comes down, and there's, see the way the walls crack there, and this has fell forward, and then you can see the top of the wall here, and then it comes round again. This looks like a wall here. See that? And this is the interior. That's part of the maybe the roof that's collapsed forward. It's just absolutely full of stuff like this. Anyway, guys, I think I've kept you long enough. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you found a lot of food for thought in this image. Thanks very much for watching, and wait for the next video. Thank you, guys. See you soon.